I'd just climbed back into the room when suddenly I heard a voice. "Jasmine, how come you're only getting home now?" I turned around to find Emma standing there. "That's my business." "Don't come home late like this again, okay? You'll be grounded if your dad finds out." I shrugged and closed my door without saying anything. Yep, that's Emma, my stepmom. She doesn't actually care, she just pretends to. If it wasn't for her telling my dad to forbid me from singing, then I wouldn't have to sneak out to go practice like this. Different day, same story. Yet again, I've had to lie about going to my singing practice. Honestly, I can't wait to be an adult so I can do whatever I want. "Dad, I'm going over to Mix to study," I said as I headed for the door. Suddenly, Emma pulled me back and handed me a bottle. "Huh? Licorice tea? Drink this after practicing. It helps keep your voice clear." Then she winked at me. Huh? So she knew I'd lied about where I was going, yet still she'd helped me? Maybe, just maybe, I've been misunderstanding her this whole time? Later that night, Emma suggested we should go for a picnic on the weekend, and for once, I excitedly agreed. But when the weekend rolled around, there was this hectic snowstorm. Emma kept looking out at the snow with disappointment written across her face. That's when the idea hit me. How about we have an indoor picnic? Yes, that's right. That's a great idea. And so we set up the tent right in our living room, and we were having the best time when suddenly the doorbell rang. I got up to answer it, and standing there covered in snow was a woman. She suddenly ran at me and said, "Oh my gosh, Jasmine, you've grown up so fast! I've missed you so much!" Before I could understand what was going on, Dad shouted, "Megan, I can't believe you have the nerve to show up here like this. I know you won't accept my apology, but you don't understand. I had to see her. I've missed her every single day." Oh my God. So, that woman was my mother? I couldn't hold back my tears and ran straight over to hug her. I swear I'd been waiting for this moment for years. Mom gently stroked my hair and then turned to my dad. "Can I stay here for a while? Just to make it up to my beloved daughter after such a long time being apart, Elvis?" "Are you joking? Get out of my house!" "Dad, please let her stay. Please." But no matter how much I begged, Dad wouldn't give in. And so I turned to Emma for help. "Elvis, just let her stay here. If Jasmine wants to be with her mom this badly, we should let them have some time together. Come on, darling." I looked at Emma with so much appreciation, then turned those puppy eyes towards my dad, and eventually he reluctantly nodded his head. "Yay!" I shouted and led Mom to my room. From that day onwards, I spent most of my free time with her. We went to the movies together, shopping together, and honestly, it was the happiest I'd ever felt. One day, I was listening and humming along to my music when Mom came in. "Wow, so you also love singing?" It must be genetic. Back then, if I hadn't been so passionately obsessed with music, which drove your dad crazy, I might never have left you like that. Now I regret it so much, Jasmine. I put my arms around her and softly said, "After all these years, I still think about that lullaby. Can you sing it to me?" "Which one?" "I sang you many lullabies back then. It's Don't Know Why by Norah Jones." "Oh, right. That one." Then she started singing. I swear to God, her voice was like an angel. But strangely, it didn't give me any of the feelings I had as a kid. Was it because I have grown up? While I was absorbed in my thoughts, I suddenly saw Emma's shadow at my doorway. But when she met my eyes, she hurried down the stairs. Huh? Why was Emma crying? I was so confused. "She must be jealous of our relationship," Mom said. Yeah, probably, since she'd been married to my dad for 3 years, but we'd never been close. That evening, when I went to the kitchen with Mom to set the table, she suddenly shouted, "Oh my gosh! Why did Emma make chicken parmigiana? Doesn't she know that your dad hates this?" Then she took the plate and threw it in the trash, saying she would order takeaway instead. Huh? Dad hates this? He always complimented Emma on her signature dish. Before I could react, Emma entered the room. As soon as she saw her chicken in the trash, she glared at Mom. Things then got so awkward. Emma had skipped dinner. Mom also tried to start a conversation with Dad a few times, but he ignored her. I felt so bad for Mom. In my dad's eyes, there was only Emma now. But my mother had done nothing wrong. She just wanted to pursue her passion. Later that night, I was heading to the pantry to get some snacks when I heard Emma yelling at Mom. "Megan, for old time's sake, I didn't bring up anything from the past, but you can't just do whatever you want." How dare Emma yell at my mom like that? As soon as Emma left, I ran over to my mom asking her what had happened. She hesitated for a while, then told me the whole story. It turned out Mom and Emma used to be in the same band when they were young. And since Mom was always the lead singer, Emma had begrudged her ever since. Perhaps she has never gotten over it. I didn't expect Emma to be so mean. So from that day on, I began to show my attitude towards Emma. I didn't let her go to the parent-teacher conference like I had promised before, and I even forbade Mick, my best friend, from talking to her every time he came over. "Mom, how did you and Dad meet back in the day?" "Well, back then, your dad was a waiter at the lounge I used to sing at every weekend. We quickly fell in love and started leaving love letters for each other at our secret spot."
Ew, how cheesy.
"It's called romantic, you silly. At that time, we put our initials at the end of every letter." Suddenly, there was some noise at the door, and I turned to see Dad standing right behind us.
"What do you mean, our initials? It represented our two favorite characters' names from that movie."
"Yes, it was the initials of Monica and Quincy in the movie Love and Basketball." Dad gaped at Emma in surprise as she continued. "I was the one writing letters to you that year. But when I got to the meeting spot, I saw you and Megan together, so I left." Dad and Emma looked at each other, then turned to stare at Mom.
"Actually, back then I liked you so much that I pretended to be Emma, but it's not that important. In the end, you were still into me and we got along really well, right?" "I can't believe you'd lie to me like this for all these years!"
Then Dad angrily left the room, followed by Emma. As for Mom, she was sitting there, tears pouring from her eyes. Okay, so Mom was definitely in the wrong, but did Dad need to treat her like that? Who doesn't make mistakes from time to time? And anyway, it's because of my mom's mistake that I'm even here, right? From that day onwards, the atmosphere in the house was so intense. Dad ignored Mom, and Emma always gave Mom hateful looks. Until one day, I'd just gotten home from school when I saw my dad excitedly running towards me saying, "Emma is pregnant. You're going to have a little brother or sister." Wow. I'd always wanted to have a sibling. I couldn't believe it. So that night, my family threw a party to celebrate, and Mom also congratulated Dad and Emma. And thanks to that, the tension between the three of them started to ease. Phew. But a few days later, for some reason, Dad found out that I'd lied about going studying with Mick. He was furious and grounded me for a week. I was sullenly playing on my iPad when Mom entered the room. Emma must be the snitch. Now that she's pregnant, she wants Dad to be angry with you, so he'll give all his love to her and the baby. Well, that just made sense. The other day, I'd even seen Emma whispering something to Dad, and as soon as he heard it, he got mad. Ugh, such a two-faced woman. I had to sort this out, and so I set up a fun plan for my stepmom. One time, I made her orange juice using powdered cheese, and she ended up spitting it out all over Dad. Then I unscrewed the shower head to add blue food coloring, and that's how I gave her a Smurf makeover. It was hilarious hearing her horrid scream from the bathroom. Another time, I snuck into Emma's room, trying to put flour in her hairdryer. I was rummaging through the bedside table looking for her hairdryer when suddenly I saw a DVD labeled 𝗕𝗔𝗦𝗬𝗪11. Huh? What's this? Why was my name on it? Curious, I went back to my room to play it. And then I couldn't believe my eyes. On the screen, Emma was carrying a baby and singing a lullaby to her. This melody. Wasn't it the song Don't Know Why? So that baby was me? But Emma couldn't sing, could she? Her voice was weak and sounded hoarse. What did this mean? I rushed to show my dad the DVD.
"Emma told me not to talk about this, but since you already know, I won't hide it anymore."
Then he told me everything. Turns out my mom left for a rich man when I was only 2 years old, and it was Emma who came and helped my dad take care of me during my younger years. Oh my gosh. What? So, all those memories of my mom's warm hugs and lullabies were all actually of Emma? A feeling of guilt welled up in my heart. I had to do something to apologize to Emma, so the next day, I asked Mick to go to the mall to help me buy her a gift. As I was passing a coffee shop, I suddenly saw my mom sitting with some guy. Without thinking much, I quickly pulled Mick to a nearby table and eavesdropped on them. Honey, how's the money? You know how pushy the creditors are, and they're getting kinda aggressive. Don't worry, it won't be long now. My daughter's on my side. She'll help me kick her stupid stepmom out. Then my ex-husband will soon follow her wish and volunteer to give me money. What? What was going on? Had Mom come back just for Dad's money? I was about to go confront her when my phone rang. It was Dad. Jasmine, go to the hospital right away. Emma is in the emergency room. By the time I got there, I saw my dad sitting outside the ER with his head in his hands. After a while, the doctor came out and said, "Both mother and baby are okay. Next time, please pay more attention to the patient's food allergy." How could you eat stuff you're allergic to? You must be more careful, okay? Yeah, Emma always took good care. It didn't make sense. Unless my mom... I was about to tell Dad about what I'd seen at the mall when Mom suddenly appeared, eagerly asking about Emma's situation. Unable to stand her pretense any longer, I shouted, "Mom, drop the act. It was you who did all of this, wasn't it?" Jasmine, what nonsense are you uttering? Furious, I immediately told them the whole story I've heard. Megan, I could forgive you for the old letter story and for trying to sabotage my voice, but the fact that you wanted to harm my baby is unforgivable. It turns out the stuff from the past that she mentioned before was that my mom harmed her to destroy her voice. So that's why Dad didn't let me sing, for fear that it would cause Emma pain. Suddenly Mom burst out laughing. I don't need your pity. You were so lucky to have such a beautiful voice and a wonderful man by your side. And even now, you're still trying to take the life that should have been mine. Megan, give it up already. You need to stop this. Mom was about to say something, but I interrupted her. Mom, please just go. I'm so ashamed to have a mother like you. Then I burst into tears. She got up and left, without even so much as a glance back at us. Emma took me into her arms. I was afraid that you would be disappointed. That's why I hid everything from you. I'm sorry for treating you so badly. She gently patted my head, and I felt like I was back in my childhood, where she'd held me and sang lullabies. It was so comforting. Finally, peace has returned to my family. I'm so fortunate to have Emma as a stepmom, and pretty soon, my little bro or sis will be here, and I can't wait.
I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. My God, I was so nervous. You see, this was my first day as an intern in this super big company. On one hand, anxiety wouldn't stop creeping up on me. But on the other hand, I actually couldn't wait to begin working in this fancy professional office. Having my own desk, my own PC, doing all the paperwork? So exciting! But, well, it didn't exactly turn out as I expected. All I did on my first day was make a lot of coffees, get everyone's lunch, and do endless printing. Oh, I forgot to introduce you to my team. This over here is Quinn, our team leader. And then the girl over there is Sadie. That guy sitting in the corner is Bob. And I'm the adorable Lauren. Then, while I was bringing yet another coffee and cake to each one of them to get to know them better, the manager, Caleb, came to our department and began yelling at Quinn. "Why have I still not received the report on the working project?" "Sorry, boss. We're kinda short-handed." "Short-handed, huh? Then how come every time I walk past, I see the intern doing meaningless things? I didn't hire her to wait on you guys. Is that clear?" Then Caleb looked at me and said, "You, intern, in my office." I followed Caleb into his office, feeling all anxious. Did I do something wrong? Then suddenly, Caleb hugged me from behind. I got so startled that I immediately pushed him away. What are you doing? You can't do that here.
Sorry. Just seeing you here makes me so happy. But what's with the tense face?
Oh, I never saw you yelling at somebody, so it was kinda scary.
That? Oh, that's nothing.
You're probably wondering why my manager was hugging me. Well, actually, Caleb is my boyfriend. You see, I was in my last semester of college. I told him that I wanted to do an internship because it would be good for me, so he insisted that I do it in his company. At first, I didn't think it was a good idea. I mean, couples that work together don't stay together, right? But he managed to convince me otherwise, so here I am. Even so, I didn't want anyone in the office to know about our relationship. Therefore, I didn't let him drive me to work, and having lunch together is also a no-no. Caleb had no comment about this. He probably understood why this was necessary. But then one day, at the end of the meeting with our department, Caleb was about to walk out of the meeting room when he suddenly stopped, turned around, and said in front of all,
"Oh, by the way, I just want you all to know that Lauren is my girlfriend. Okay, bye."
Oh my God! Why on earth did he do that? Everybody immediately turned and stared at me with shocked expressions. And me, well, I just wanted to slide down the chair and hide under the table. I stormed into Caleb's office and demanded an explanation.
"Yesterday I had lunch with a manager of another department, and he said that he liked you and wanted to ask you out. So I thought it's best to inform everyone that you're my girlfriend. Am I right?"
What? Ugh, no! Men and their dumb egos. Ugh! Anyway, I hoped that it wouldn't affect anything. But as I feared, it did. Massively so. The moment everyone found out I was Caleb's girlfriend, they started treating me differently. Every time I walked into the room, they immediately stopped talking and gave me awkward looks. Or after work, they would go out for some drinks but purposely not invite me. It sucked being left out like that. And then one day, it got much worse. I arrived at the office extra early as there was an email I needed to send out before 9. But my PC wouldn't turn on, so I got under the table trying to see if a cable was loose. Right at that moment, Bob and Sadie walked into the office gossiping.
"Clearly Lauren only got that internship because she's Caleb's girlfriend. And did you see her clothes? All those expensive brands? Well, having a boyfriend who's the manager in a big company must be blissful."
What? I never accept expensive gifts from Caleb. They're all mine. Then during work, I accidentally took a glimpse at Quinn's computer screen and saw that they were chatting about me in a group chat. Something about me not having to do errands just because my boyfriend's the manager. Hearing and reading all these mean comments made me feel really frustrated, so I wasn't in any mood to work that whole morning. Then in the afternoon, we had a meeting about the project we were all working on, and Caleb asked me to hand him the report. Oh snap. I'd totally forgotten to do it. Sorry. I haven't written the report yet.
"Can I ask why? And what were you doing this entire morning? For the sake of our team, please focus. We can't mess this project up."
I'm just having a lot going on, okay? Interns are humans too. Jeez, I'll send you the report by the end of the day, boss. Everybody gave me befuddled looks. Caleb most of all. But wait, I see some of them smiling. Were those smiles for me? Then after the meeting, everyone gathered around me, patted my shoulder, and praised me for standing up against Caleb. To be honest, it felt good to be noticed and not ridiculed. So maybe there was still a chance I could win them over, right? The next day at noon, Caleb came by the department to grab some lunch with me. But I told him, in front of everyone, that I wanted to have lunch with the team. He looked confused, but still had to agree. Lunch with the whole team was great. Except for one thing. They constantly kept asking me about Caleb. Like, what's he like outside the office? Why is he always so strict and grumpy? I noticed that they kind of liked talking about Caleb, so I told them, "Oh, Caleb is such a great boyfriend. He's very attentive and is an amazing cook." But they weren't interested in that. Oh no, they just cared about his bad habits. Ugh, fine. So I gave them what they wanted. Well, I don't like that he's always perfectly on time. I'm 1 minute late, and he begins to lecture me about how time is precious and we shouldn't waste it. That definitely caught everyone's attention right away. They really liked that, huh? I felt kind of guilty, but I couldn't deny how nice it was. That feeling when everyone was starting to like me, and it would be only this time, right? Well, how wrong I was, because every time our team went out, they started gossiping about Caleb and then looked longingly at me until I badmouthed my boyfriend. Again. But to me, Caleb is the perfect man. He just has a few tiny flaws, but nothing major. So I decided to make stuff up. He sleep talks and never brushes his teeth before bed. And he burps a lot at home. Ugh, I hated it. But what can I do? The worse stuff I told them about Caleb, the more they seemed to like me. Then one day, Caleb invited some of the other managers to his apartment for some beer. Suddenly, a guy pointed at Caleb's beer and asked him if he should be drinking that, what with his gas problem. Oh no. Then this guy told a confusing-looking Caleb that everyone in the office was gossiping about him. Luckily for me, he just shrugged and said he didn't want to hear about idle gossip. Phew, that was close. But then something terrible happened. Some of my fake rumors reached Mr. Smith's ears, the general manager. One day I walked past Caleb's office and heard Mr. Smith yelling at him. Something about Caleb resigning as manager because there was a rumor that he pushed other staff who dared to argue with him to quit. Oh no! I only made that up on purpose so the others would be afraid of him and stop talking about him. It's all my fault. So as soon as Mr. Smith walked out of Caleb's room, I ran after him and said, "Please wait. I can explain." "What do you mean?" I took a deep breath to calm down. Then I began to explain to him that I was the one who spread that rumor, and that it was 100% not true. Please don't force him to resign. It's all my fault.
Oh, sweetie, why did you do that?
I'm sorry, Dad. I was stupid and acted like a child.
It's okay, but gotta say, I'm disappointed, Lauren. I will talk to Caleb later. Hope you've learned your lesson this time, and don't you ever do that again. Understood?
Yes, Dad. Then he walked away. I let out a sigh of relief when, suddenly...
Dad? Are you calling Mr. Smith Dad?
Oh no! I didn't notice that Caleb was standing behind us. Well, the truth was finally out. As you can see, Mr. Smith, the general manager of the company, is my dad. But nobody, not even Caleb, knew that. Then Caleb continued.
Why didn't you tell me that Mr. Smith is your father? And why did you spread that awful rumor about me, Lauren? Why did you do that to me? Do I look like a fool to you?
He got so mad that he was about to walk off. I quickly held his hand and began to explain. I didn't tell you Mr. Smith's my dad because I was afraid you'd feel pressured and wouldn't want to be with me anymore. Caleb didn't say anything. He just stood there silent. So I continued. About the rumor, I'm so sorry. I messed up, but please, you need to understand. From the moment everyone knew I was your girlfriend, they started gossiping about me and leaving me out. I felt so hurt and lonely when all I wanted to do was fit in. Until this one time, everyone talked to me again as I unintentionally complained about you, and they treated me like a friend after that. But they're always hungry for more gossip about you, so I had to make some up, and I eventually lost control. I'm so sorry, Caleb. Caleb let out a sigh, then hugged me.
I'm sorry that happened to you in the office. I didn't know you were struggling. Next time, you have to tell me. Don't hide things like that, okay?
I nodded with a smile and silently thanked my generous boyfriend. Yet I almost ruined his career just to please those talkative coworkers of mine. But fortunately, things turned out well between us in the end. Eventually, people found out that Mr. Smith was my father, 'cause, well, eyes and ears were everywhere in this company. You can't hide anything. Then they began to gossip that Caleb was only dating me because of the managing position. Man, they'll never stop, will they? But anyway, I don't care anymore. My internship soon ended, and I decided not to come back to this company, obviously. I will find a more suitable environment. But actually, the time as an intern there taught me an important lesson. That you shouldn't care what other people think of you, and just stay out of all that office drama. It's really exhausting.